Welcome to the Scene Snobs Podcast.
Welcome to the Scene Snobs Podcast, everybody. Guys, welcome. I am Mick Manhattan from the Scene Snobs. Thank you guys so much for joining in. I truly appreciate you. You guys are all awesome. We are going to have a great show for you tonight. I am back. I'm ready to do it. We are on the road to 300. So if you guys don't know, October 31st, Halloween, we are on track. If we do every Tuesday live, we will be at 300 episodes of the Scene Snobs Podcast on October 31st. But we also have the Scene Snobs Podcast 4th anniversary coming up on October 6th. So we got a lot of stuff in store for you. We have 2 script readings coming up, one in September, one in October, one's for charity. We have tons and tons. Another Ghost Hunts live that's going to be going on. Hopefully you guys can join us for that and more, but you're only going to know this stuff is coming up if you like and subscribe to the video and follow us on social media, because it's all out there. So I just want to say thank you guys again for joining in. Without further ado, I have a very special guest host with me tonight, and I want to bring him on. And he's an old friend, so I'm going to give him a little bit of a build-up. He has been around since high school. I've known this guy since high school. He has dated my sister. He has created movies. He has created music. He's a video game master, a horror master. He has given me a job doing website work, making videos and stuff. Like, the guy's a friend, not just a friend. The guy knows a lot of stuff, and I always am appreciative of him. He's been on the show before. The man's name is Mario Melillo. If you haven't checked out his stuff over on Twitch while he's playing, make sure you're doing that. It's down in the links below. But let's bring him on. Mario, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you, sir?
Oh, hi. How's it going?
Good. I love that shirt.
Oh, thanks. Got it at Walmart. Very
fancy. See, I can't buy things at Walmart. They don't fit me.
Oh, they have like, oh no, yeah, okay, maybe not. Maybe not.
I love it. So
I'll just preface that by saying he is a tall individual.
I am. I'm tall in many ways. I'm tall this way, and I'm tall this way. So
no, he's only vertically challenged. He's not width challenged. We'll just keep that a secret.
They've seen pictures. They know.
The camera adds like 190 pounds. It's all good.
I wish it were so true. So how you doing, man? What's new with you? What's going
on? Same old. Well, not really. Okay, so quick aside. The last time I was on your show, which was 2-ish years ago now, 2.5 years ago, give or take. It's been a while. You were just in the throw of putting all this together, like the way you're set up now and whatnot. I actually went blind that entire time for the most part. So I was at like 20% vision for almost 2 full years. And I had 6 full surgeries, including 2 cataract removals. And now I have 80% vision. So I'm good.
Whoa, that's crazy, man.
So I've like, as far as like media and stuff, I haven't done anything because I've been MIA, so to speak. But yeah, other than that, I'm good. I'm getting back on the horse and everything's cool.
I love it.
How about you? You've surpassed our former project in time, and because Mario Likes Movies was 3.5 years, so now you're working on 4 years. That's pretty good. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, man. Mario Likes Movies, though, still always has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, that was a long time ago now.
Special time, man. That was 10. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it was over 10 years ago, because you figure I was in LA until what, 2011.
Yeah, you weren't in where you are now. I don't want to give it away if people don't know. So, but you weren't in your current location until like way after. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and we did that. Yeah, we did that for a year or 2 or 3 or something like that. And yeah, it's funny.
You were there for 2 years, and then you moved back to the West Coast, and then we continued it for another like 1.5 to 2 years after that.
Yeah, and that was such a fun, special time too.
Yeah,
because that was a time where we were doing all of this, but like everyone wasn't.
Yeah, we also didn't make money.
That's true.
Monetization was a lot different back then.
We did yeah, I mean, nobody makes money now.
No actors, no writers, yeah, nobody makes money.
Let's not dilute any any minds
Yeah.
joining in.
And for those of you
No,
that don't know, I am pro SAG-AFTRA and WGA. I assume you are as well.
I am. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Quick
Too
little
many-
aside, all those people take half the money they say they make, chop all that out for dues and taxes, and then chop another 30% out for management, agents, cost of living, and they only end up with 20% of what they say they make most of the time, if they're lucky.
Oh yeah.
Got to fight for the
1000%.
brothers and sisters. But yeah, that's my little political rant. I'm done.
No. But I'm with you on that, and it's actually it's in the movie industry, so it's a good way to start. And you're right, because I think I see so many people rallying against saying, "Oh, they make enough money, they make enough," and it's like, first off, like let's say they all make $1 million a year. Let's just base it at that. Let's say every actor and every writer makes $1 million a year, which I will say, of course, is a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
But let's just say,
You could
who
maybe
the
buy an
hell?
apartment in Burbank for $1 million.
Yeah, that's
Maybe.
true. That's for goddamn true. Got to move the Van Nuys. It's all about the valley.
Not anymore. That's where everybody went.
That is true. They all
Atlanta.
suffered the valley to get away from all the clouds and the wildfires.
So $1 million, yeah.
You know what bugs me the most is people like, if you were working anywhere, making any amount of money, and you were like, I want more, and like you were on a camera or you were saying something, you're just like, I want more. I'm fighting for more. I think I deserve more money. And anyone came out and said, you make enough, shut up. They would be canceled or they would be sacrificed to the gods. You can't do that.
Yeah. No, you cannot do that.
But if there's some sort of connection to the entertainment, which is funny because if I heard, like a gaffer, I'm going to use gaffer just for old time's sake, but if I heard a gaffer come out and say that and somebody was bitching and moaning about it, I would put my boot in their ass, because if you think they're making $1 million a day, they're making less than you
by a lot usually.
Yeah, and you're out there bitching and moaning about them wanting money. I know I tend not to go to the negative places, but it does bother me that it's like, who cares? Like they're not taking money out of your pocket to fight for more money.
The funny thing is, it's just a weird mob mentality, or a owner to, I don't want to say slave, but you know what I mean, owner to subordinate mentality, where the subordinate will take the position of the owner to get in their favor, to curry their favor, except the owner's screwing everybody, aka the studios and the distributors. Now, granted, technically they have to make money as well to produce a lot of the negative pickups. You know what those are. For the people in the audience that might not know, a negative pickup is a movie that has X amount of budget and they write it off, and they either write it off and make whatever profit it makes, they pocket and don't give residuals to anybody, which is the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch was a negative pickup show, and look at how well it did, and none of them get residuals to this day. Anybody alive, nobody gets residuals from that show, and that was 40-50 years ago at this point, because it's a negative pickup. And a movie out right now that it's gonna go into the topic, I can think it's gonna be a cult classic. Talk to Me was picked up by A24. They gave the two guys who made the movie, because the movie was self-funded, meaning they got all of the money from private equity and their own pockets. They sold it for a lump sum to A24 but the thing about A24 is they give potential deals. They give the filmmakers potential like residual back end deals so that everybody is happy. They're one of the very few studios that actually like cares about the people they work with, at least a newer studio. And they bought Talk to Me for, I think, 7 or 8 million or something like that. So the brothers, I think, pocket the residuals on the back end, and they gave all the money back to the people that funded the movie. From
That's
what I know so far, I could be don't like fact check. Do your own fact checking on that, but from what I gathered and have read, it's something similar to that. That's a way different thing, though.
Yeah. No, and it makes sense though, because it's, and I do like A24 for that, and I think that's why A24, with their like sort of slate of the movies they put out, like which are mostly like I'll give it to them, not super heavy, but low budget horror, like very tends to be standard one to very few locations horror. So like, and I got to give them a lot of credit, like whether they're buying them up or they're actually producing them.
It's always
They're,
top quality, though. The thing
Mhm.
about their movies, any kind of movie they put out, I just saw Past Lives, and that kicked me in the face, and that was not a horror movie. But yeah, they put out, like, if you really look at their catalog, this is all subjective, obviously, but if you watch all their movies from top to bottom, maybe a few of them are clunkers, but they're still serviceable as far as like entertainment purposes go. But a lot of them are very artsy and kind of envelope pushing. Like Men was a weird one that was like divisive. But other than that, they put out a lot of good stuff, like in general.
Yeah, but I, even then, like a lot of the stuff that I've seen of theirs that I wasn't a huge fan of, still the stories always like sort of astounded me because they're out there. Like you said, Men was a movie that was so odd. And what they did with it visually, I was like, this is really weird. And it is divisive. And like the message may not be something I'm attracted to or like tend to go towards, but it was definitely interesting. And it definitely like is worth the watch, even as from filmmaking standpoint.
Yeah, and I'm a huge Alex Garland guy, so I watched it. It was not my favorite of his, but I like his work usually, so I supported it.
Very cool. So for you though, you have a good pulse on like what goes on in the film industry and stuff like that. And you're talking about, like, we were going to talk about cult classics tonight and things, and you're talking about Talk to Me, which you think will be a future cult classic.
Yeah, I do. Without spoiling the movie because it's still in theaters. For anybody who watches genre movies or anything, it's a different twist on a possession film. That's the best I'll say, but it's really catered towards younger audiences. But a lot of those like gatekeeping, old school mentality horror fans actually enjoyed it too. From some of the people I know that are like that. They really liked it. The special effects were really good. The directing and the sound and even the story. The story was pretty basic, but it gave you enough twists and turns, especially the last like half an hour. It was pretty good, and it's a completely different film. But Ready or Not, same thing. Radio Silence, dudes from LA that made that movie, and they made Scream 5 and 6. I thought Ready or Not probably going to fit into that cult classic, even though these films did decent in the box office and theaters. It's because I don't know, like cult classics are usually defined by did really bad either initially in the theater and then they grew a fan base through like well, now it would be streaming, but in the past it'd be video, VHS and DVDs and such. But these movies did decent, but they still feel like, because films are so saturated now, for the most part, a lot of stuff gets that like 2-week hype window, then it dies and goes into obscurity forever. But I feel like Ready or Not and Talk to Me are going to be two films that actually might stand the test of time.
Yeah,
potentially.
So it's actually, let's because we're talking about defining cult classics and things like that. And I wanted to kind of talk about from the perspective of today, because back in the day, cult classics really came from the video nasty era is really where it is embroiled from, because those are the movies that like you're not supposed to watch and they're banned.
Yeah.
And so like it became that like we have to find it. And then as we were growing up, going to conventions and like trying to find those movies that were foreign or movies that were independent that like you couldn't find anywhere else. They weren't even being distributed.
Yeah, for people listening, the video nasties are usually the guinea pig series. A later one was a film called Violent Shit from Germany, and there was a bunch of other ones. But yeah, that pretty much is where the subculture kind of started. I'd say, in my opinion, even though there was movies before, like Last House on the Left had weird distro, but that picked up during the VHS era. But that became, well, no, I would still consider it a cult classic, even though it got a remake. John Carpenter's The Thing, I feel like, kind of shoveled all that into the modern person's, or the like casual the casual viewers radar, so to speak.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think well, VHS, of course, having that home option back in the day was always was always fun to be able to find those things, especially video stores having everything almost available. And of course, horror and sci-fi were pretty much the cult classics, or action could be lumped in there, especially during the 80s and 90s. But like for me, like today, I would almost argue that cult classics almost don't exist because the physical media has subsided so much.
So I agree with you on that point, but there is a small little caveat. So I have a Blu-ray collection to my right that's off camera. It's is primarily rare horror films, like very short print run, really kind of weird stuff that, like I mentioned before, especially genre films, they get that 2 week to a couple month hype window, and then they come out, they do like gangbusters in the box office, and they're gone, and you like forget about them because the society's like mentality now is very short. Like you go on TikTok, the videos are like 15 seconds, and you scroll to the next one. YouTube Shorts, same thing. The attention span of people has. I am guilty of this as well, so I'm not judging anybody when I say this, because it's you too. We all like small little aside. If you've seen the Batman, it was 3 hours. It felt like a slog. What else? Oppenheimer, same thing. Felt like a slog. When I was younger, that would have been like no problem. Even a 2 hour movie nowadays is like, oh geez, I have to go to the bathroom. Like, it's just, besides the fact that I'm old, it's just like, I don't know, my attention spans in general, I think, have dwindled. So like people tend to forget like bangers that come out and then they just fly under the radar. So like I think cult classics have a potential in about maybe 10 to 20 years again for the movies that we've been experiencing in the aughts and the 2010s and stuff. But I think it's just going to be cyclical. But I do agree with you that like I feel like cult classics are kind of going away just for right now anyway.
Yeah, I definitely and with cult classics, like I think you're always going to have something like, and I think it's always going to be cultivated in a way. Even with streaming, like we're talking about A24. A24 is not a cult classic type of. It could, like back in the day, I would say they would be on the level of like making cult classics.
Yeah.
Like they would be that independent house that's making movies that we like, but every once in a while you get that like, oh wow, this is like amazing. I love this. Everybody needs to see this. But today I say they do a really good job kind of cultivating. I think a lot of those distribution houses like Gravitas, Ventura, things like them, they really do a good job cultivating independent genre-based movies for the most part. And although I wouldn't call them cult classics or anything like that, I would say that that's where you're finding a lot of your gems in the streaming world. It's tough too, because like there's so much out there and it's so easy to get lost in it and not be able to find that stuff. And people have such a huge range now of what they can talk about, because we're all over the world talking to so many people. We lost that tribe. Like, remember, let's go back. Let's travel back in time to high school, you and I.
Okay.
Remember when we all were at Ty's house? Was it all 5 of us? And you brought over Cannibal Holocaust
Oh yeah.
that Friday night, that Friday afternoon or whatever, and it was like, let's hang out and like watch this movie that's banned in all these countries that we're not supposed to watch. And you had it.
Anthony getting sick when the turtle scene came up. And
oh my god, that whole thing was just that was a nightmare. But
that's another one. That's a video nasty right there, so to speak.
Yeah.
Ferox Cannibal Holocaust, yeah.
But something like that is what I miss, and what I don't think you're going to see too much anymore, especially with physical media going by the wayside as much as it is. People still collect. It still exists. I know that.
I was about to say that was going to be my next point.
Yeah.
Physical media is the new cult classic, to be honest. You got
That's a great point.
You got Vinegar Syndrome putting out all kinds of stuff.
Shout.
Not just horror either. Like they put out Rad on 4K, which I have, which is good luck finding that, because the last time I checked on eBay, a copy of it's going for like $700-800. This was a while ago, so it might be a little lower, but it was going for like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And I bought it for $30 for MSRP off their website. Vinegar Syndrome. Steve Biro, who runs and directs movies for Unearthed. He runs Unearthed Films, although those are mostly red films, like extreme horror, mostly. He's done a good job of like curating, so to speak, all those types of films that you'll never see anywhere else anymore, except for like from him or Massacre Video or some other distributors that are really small. But yeah, I feel like cult classics wise, that's where it's headed, possibly in the physical media.
That's a great point you just said too. Like that's where cult classics are going. It's becoming a thing. It's not even becoming an entity, a movie. It's becoming a thing that houses these movies. Like, I think Shudder does a pretty good job.
Shudder has an actual for real cult classic, because it's divisive and because it's weird. Skinamarink just came out recently.
True.
That is 100%. Like, if you take every factor that it would make a cult classic, that film is like checks every single box. So I can see.
Yeah, that was one I saw, and but the thing with me is that it doesn't fit under cult classic anymore. It's this one part, and the one part being the hard to find part. Because I always felt like cult classics has to be hard to find. Like when I saw Skinamarink, I saw the trailer for Skinamarink. As soon as I saw that trailer and I heard people talking about it, I knew I will see this somewhere.
Yeah. That's another thing where the cult classic moniker, so to speak, is going to be a little hard, because I do agree with you on that, because I didn't even think of it that way. A lot of these films are very, very accessible through streaming or piracy. I don't condone piracy, but it is what it is. We both know that it's going to be around until the end of time. But accessibility is a big part of that as well. Although, like, I agree with that. Like, back when we were younger, you were right, but the world's changing. So I feel like maybe the definition of a cult classic needs to change as well. And I feel like what we've been talking about, like potential options like physical media and this or that, or point A, B, or C, I feel like all of those are probably going to wrap up into what a potential cult classic would be. Like I mentioned, Talk to Me and Ready or Not. Those did really good in the box office for the most part. Like Talk to Me, I think, pulled in over 30 million so far, if not more. I have to check the numbers. I haven't checked, but and Ready or Not did over X amount of million too, and it made its money back and then some. So that's technically not like a flop, but they're still like cult classics in my mind, or will be, so we'll see. Maybe it just needs to change a little bit, just like the times are changing, like when I've talked to you about this, and like personally, when we were growing up, I read, the comic, basically the entire MCU I read from the ground up when I was way young, like before I met you even, because of a guy my mother knew gifted me his comic collection because he was getting married, and he threw like all his stuff out, and he gave me like his whole comic collection. So I read all that stuff, and I never thought in a million years that we'd be seeing these stories get made into films when we were younger, and for the most part, like it's gotten to the point where people don't like them anymore because they feel like it's a bloated market, which,
Yeah.
I'll admit it kind of is a little at this point, but I still enjoy it for what it is. But just like that, like I never thought in a million years I'd see that. So like the rarity part of it is changing definitely. So
Well, I like that you said that too, and let's kind of switch gears a little bit because we were talking about cult classics. And actually, before we get going, let's just say hi to everybody real quick because we're coming to the middle of it. What's going on, AJ? How you doing, bud? Thanks for joining in, man. Chris, what's up, buddy? Thank you, sir. What's up, Dan?
hello.
Thanks, man. And Dan says, like RoboJocks on VHS. They love their RoboJocks. RoboJocks, yeah, I would call that a cult classic.
I had that on first print DVD, RoboJocks, yeah, or Robot Jocks, however you want to pronounce it. But
damn, dude, yeah,
I had the first pressing of Spookies too before it went MIA for like 20 years.
Spookies?
Yeah,
I haven't seen that forever. Holy shit!
I don't know if it was like a bootleg, but it looked legit and it played legit when I tried it. It was region free too, which was insane.
First time I ever saw that, they had a copy of it at Premiere Video.
Oh, I remember Premiere Video.
I know, it was the best. What's up, Radar? How you doing, pal? And yep, and they're just talking, so I'll let them out there. So we're we're getting into it. I'll switch gears a little bit and talk about that. What you were saying with like Marvel, and I've had this talk with a few people, especially doing this show. Like it comes up a lot, like what the world was and how you got to take in your geek back in the day. Like especially my kids, I have that conversation with them. Like, I give it to you. I got to give you probably the most amount of credit. You wore your geek fucking proudly.
Oh, when it was not. That's one thing. These generations now, like Mick and myself are considered elder millennials. I just made the cut before Gen Z. I was literally 3 months before Gen Z. I was a millennial, and Mick is only a couple months younger than I am.
Yeah.
When we were in high school, kids were there. I was way over there. And it's not like I was trying to stand out on purpose. It's just I liked what I liked, and it was not what anybody else liked. So, I mean, it is what it is. But he is right. I did wear my hobbies and my likes all over the place and on my sleeve. He can tell you when I had hair, it was like down to here, and I had long hair, and I was a metal guy when metal was not a thing. It still kind of isn't, but I mean, it's like 50 times more popular than it was then. So. Yeah, I definitely was a nomad and a black sheep as far as that goes. But he knew. That's what drove us to be friends, because Mick had seen a lot of the films I liked, and he liked them too. So even though him and I had completely different likes and dislikes on pretty much almost everything, we did come together in film, so to speak. So,
And the funny thing is, like, I wouldn't even say it was that far of what the dislikes were. I would just say because life was so sheltered, I didn't even know what I could like.
Oh yeah, we came from weird households, so yeah.
That's
a lot of
true.
People our age did.
Like I came from a religious household, but I'm not even talking about the household. I'm talking about even going to school. You didn't even know like what you were allowed to really like without getting your ass kicked. You know?
When Mick and myself were in high school, the big thing was hip hop was in its original genesis, its first big global genesis. So there was a lot of Bad Boy Entertainment, Notorious B.I.G., Puff Daddy or Diddy or whatever his name is now, Mace. And then on the west side, it was Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Warren G. So like that was the big musical foray, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be over here and not listen to that stuff. But a lot of people didn't know that what I liked, or what not even on my spectrum, say like other spectrums like folk music and all that stuff kind of took like a knee and went away, and my stuff was just in the corner, and the big prevailing music taste was there. And ironically enough, that's just how it's cyclical, like I mentioned before, of society. Like one thing's popular for X amount of time, then it switches gears, and then it goes back, and then it switches gears again, and so on and so forth. So, but primarily, like when we were in high school, I wouldn't say I got picked on. I mean, I did, but I never like cared. And if anybody ever wanted to fight me, I would just put my fist in their teeth. So sometimes violence is the answer, but you didn't hear that from me.
But I'm not gonna argue that.
times were different. There were no cell phones until our senior year of high school.
And we didn't even have. Let's be real, we didn't have them.
Nope, I didn't. I purposely didn't have a cell phone until like 2006. To be completely honest with you, I was not a big cell phone guy. But yeah, when we grew up, you had to like go outside, God forbid, and do stuff with friends, and you had to meet people by talking to them face to face. What a crazy concept that is nowadays. And then like Mick said, I went to my first horror convention. It was the Fangoria Weekend of Horrors in like 1997 or 98 with a friend of mine. And I was like, oh my God, this is insane. And I didn't know that like the world of tape trading and underground films and actual cult classics and hard to find rare movies existed. And I bought Cannibal Holocaust from this dude, and it was banned in the United States at the time. And I still bought it, and I think it was $30 back then, and that was a lot. That was a lot back then. And I made all of them watch it. They're like, oh, we've seen, Nightmare on Elm Street. That's insane. And I'm like, oh, you want to see insane? I got the tape, and we went to my friend's, our mutual friend's house, and I popped it in, and people were just like, their jaw was on the floor.
Yeah, I forget what horror movie we watched afterwards to cleanse it.
It was I think it was Scream 2 at that point we were watching, because it just come out.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So it was around Scream 2 era, I think.
It was an odd time, man. And it was funny because I was just talking about this with somebody the other day. Because I always went to like card and comic conventions at the malls or at different places. I never went anything big. And my first horror convention was Chiller Theater in 2000. Lenny and I went for one sole purpose. We had never been to one before, but we wanted to meet Brian Thompson because we loved Cobra.
I still to this day love Cobra.
I just watched it the other night, and I was telling the guys that
I do it a once a year thing minimum.
Yeah. It was just, it's such a good movie. And it was funny because like we went, we met him and met a bunch of people, and like we're like, this whole world is just amazing. We love it and never looked back. So when we get to fast forward, we're doing all this, and like we're doing all this convention. It got me thinking, because now I'm conventioned out. Like I'm always doing I work conventions. It's a whole different thing. So it's a whole different world, Mario. It's weird.
Yeah, I got told my mic's cutting in and out, and it's probably because it's doing that. So I'll just do this so people can hear me. Okay. Yeah, I haven't, besides with COVID and blindness, I haven't gone to a convention in 4 or 5 years now. It's been a while.
That's fair. I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Mick and I, we've covered Monster Manias together. We did Trauma Dance the one year when we met James Gunn and Ty West. Yeah.
Ty West.
You remember that, right?
I still tell people that if they go see William Sadler at a horror convention and he has Demon Knight, prints on his thing, you're welcome. That's because of us.
Yeah. We met William Sadler, and he was like, oh, you guys like me from Die Hard or this movie? I was like, nah, Demon Knight. He's like, I don't even remember filming that. And I was like, oh, okay.
I told him, if you had these down on your table, everybody would be getting them signed.
Yeah. That's I haven't seen him in a while too. It's been a long time.
Little did he know. Well, he actually still shows up in things. I'm hoping I'll see him soon, but I haven't been to Monster Mania Con in a long time. I need to get back.
Past this weekend, as of this recording, I was gonna go because, I'll go over why at the end when we do shout outs or whatever we're doing. But I was gonna go see this pro wrestler named MJF. Yeah, he's the AEW World Heavyweight Champion again as of this recording, and he was signing at Monster Mania on Saturday and Sunday, and I was gonna go, but I unfortunately couldn't because tickets were sold out. They cap people now. They don't just like back in the day. This convention, Monster Mania Con, they used to sell. They didn't cap tickets. They would just sell to whoever showed up, and then they would just gradually let people in. And the fire marshal would always be there because it'd be too many people. Now they cap tickets, so you can't even get in anymore unless you have a ticket. So
I know it's. Listen, I know Dave's a great guy, and I get it, and I get why they're doing.
It's the responsible thing to do. I mean, you know, so.
It is, and I'm not putting him down in any way, shape, or form. But I just personally, I think he's grown so much. He's moved past the hotel. Like,
yeah,
you got to go somewhere else.
I can't speak for him, but I think he must have a deal in place because they could go. I don't think they'd want to come up north here, but you remember Ryan Weber, your favorite person. He runs NJ HorrorCon, and he started doing his shows from the Showboat, and he's doing them at the Raritan Center Expo Center in Edison, and that place is ginormous.
Yeah,
Plus,
I've been there.
Hotel spaces, yeah. So I feel like Monster Mania Con would probably be best if they did something in an expo center like that.
Last time I was in that expo center, the Raritan Center, my buddy was bartending at the bar years ago, and Lexington Steel sat next to me because they were having the XXX Expo.
Oh, Exotica, yeah.
Yep. Or Exotica. That's what I thought they called it XXX Expo or whatever.
It's Exotica with 3 X's.
That's
ironically, I shouldn't admit this, but I worked on a adult film one time. A friend, I'm not going to mention his name, but there was a couple of horror parody adult films in the like late aughts, and they were all through like Burning Angel. So like if you know any of Joanna Angel, that she's an adult film star, or any of that crew, a buddy of mine, and Mick knows him too. He's a well-renowned FX artist, and he actually directed half the episodes of Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix.
Nice.
So if you want to look him up, there you go. I spoiled it, but he randomly put at 4 a.m. need a sound guy or sound person, $500 paid, catered, no questions asked. Contact me right away. And I was just randomly awake, and I was like, okay, I could do it. And I was like, what is it? And he goes, don't worry about it. Where do you live? And I go, I live in this town, which was Carteret at the time. And he goes, oh, I'm in Philly, and that's like 20 minutes away from the city. So he picked me up in his bus, and we went to Brooklyn. And then I was like, what kind of movies is this? He's like, it's not going to be that long. So I ended up being the sound guy.
Nothing wrong with that, dude. There's plenty of filmmakers right now. There's plenty of filmmakers right now doing it while on strike. Trust me.
Oh, I'm aware. Yeah. But anyway, Doug put me in that position. So I met this actress, Jessie Lee, and to this day, we're still like, not talk every day, but we talk like every couple of weeks, every month, friends, like good friends. And I met her there, and that's how I know about Exotica, because she's here at least once a year in Edison.
Nice. Yeah, that was it was weird. Like, he came up, sat down, we were talking. I was like, are you here with the porn thing? And he was like, yeah. He's like, you want to go? And I'm like, yeah. Like, I just walked in there with him and walked around with Lexington Steel for a while. It was a lot of fun. He was introducing me to people.
You two are probably the same height too, because he's freaking huge.
Yeah, we were tall. He was a tall dude. Let's see what everybody's saying. Dan says, I believe the phrase is, some of you kids haven't had to beat whole ass because you liked rolling dice on the weekends, and it shows. Pagers for the win. That's right. Yeah.
I never had a pager. I refused because there was no point, because our payphone in our school didn't work.
Yeah.
So there was no point. And no one had cell phones until literally we were graduating senior year. It was the year 2000. Oh, it was a long time ago. Yeah. That's when cell phones, flip phones, started becoming accessible to not businessmen. So
it's true. Dang, show my age. My hip hop was KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, Fat Boys, and Run DMC. I love them too.
Late 80s. I remember that. Early 90s.
Harvester Sturdy. Well, come down to Carolina next year. We are the official media partners. You can use your help.
Or you can meet me at Horror. Well, I can't do HorrorCon this weekend. NJ HorrorCon in Edison is this weekend, but I might actually stop by and say hi to Ryan.
And I don't hate Ryan.
I know you don't hate Ryan. I was just pulling your chain.
I know, but if he watches this for some reason, I don't want him to think I hate him. I did roll my eyes, but I rolled my eyes at the exchange we had 10, 15 years ago or whatever it was. Just how funny it was. Oh my God, this isn't Holly. It's funny. It's funny. I'm more laughing about it in my head than anything. But William Sadler was in The Unholy as the main character. I don't think I've seen that one. It's a cult classic. I will tell you though, going down memory lane, especially horror and how much I had to do. Like it for me, like seeing people now from like high school in that era that were so adamantly against like us, like, because again, you wore it on your sleeve. I liked, I said I wanted to be a filmmaker. I liked
it with your crazy hair that we won't mention.
My deep impact hair. You can mention
it. And deep impact hair.
I'll mention.
You got to put a picture up if you haven't.
There are some out there.
Well, there's only 2 pictures in existence of me with hair in general, and one of them's in our yearbook. So
I have that.
Yeah, I still have them too. But yeah, no, it was a different time, Like I know, see, the funny thing is when we were younger, bullying, we just settled it with fists, and that was that. Or like today, I can't even imagine what it's like today. Like I've seen horror stories, and like it was way like I mentioned earlier. If you're just joining, I was kind of picked on or talked about, but it wasn't anything super terrible. They just used to call me, like, we went to a Catholic high school, and they used to call me like a devil worshiper because I liked, certain types of music, and I was like, nah, it's not really the thing, but whatever floats your boat. You can call me whatever. I don't care. It never really got to me personally, but yeah, like, I was kind of an outcast because I liked this thing and everybody else liked that, but it's okay, But as far as like horror goes, or at least the genre movies that Mick and I liked, yeah, we were always on that lonely island because no one ever really gave that kind of stuff a chance until now, if that's where your point was going, because now people we knew are all about the stuff that we used to be about and still are for the most part. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not going to name drop, but there's a certain woman we went to high school with who's like a mom of a bunch of kids, and now she's doing all kinds of cool stuff, and now she's getting into the stuff that she was a actress in a horror film randomly, and she was like, oh my God, I can't believe it was so fun, and I used to never give this stuff a chance, and now she started watching pretty much everything we know as our hobby. So
very tall.
Yes.
Yeah, she started hitting me up.
Yeah. I talked to her about.
I want to point out, anybody watching or listening, when I say hitting me up, I mean that in a very good way, like, because she has the new movie, it just came out, and we're talking about it, and it's a very friendly way. Like, I'm not saying she just hit me up, oh God, like, no, I meant like, no, it's very cool. So she hit me up about it.
Yeah, props to Heather. No last names given though.
Yeah. I don't want to blow up her spot or anything, but like, yeah, like, so. And although Heather in high school was very cool, she was like very down to earth, kind of quiet but down to earth. So like, and I don't want to blow up her spot or anything. So like,
she's doing good though. She's doing good.
Yeah, she.
I like all the work she's putting out there.
Yeah, and she's very friendly and very easy to talk to. Like, you after 25 years, not everybody is easy to talk to. But I will say this: there are people from high school who were horrible to us. Who is so funny now that they have kids. You see them, and like they picked on you for Star Wars. They picked on you for horror.
Oh, I can name a few off of my head. and
then to watch them today, and then like liking my stuff, and then being like, "Yeah, that's awesome. I remember watching that when we were kids." Blah blah. And it's like, you were a bully. you were straight up bullied.
Hey, you know what? It's honestly like at this age, and I'm not the type to hold a grudge, like good for them for growing, at least as people, so to speak. I know almost exactly who you're talking about too. There's like 2 or 3 people that come to mind, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's all good, man. Like
Yeah.
I always like in my fandoms, I always accept new people, even if they're talking out of their ass and don't know what they're talking about, so to speak. I'll politely try to correct them, and if they don't care to hear what I have to say, it's fine. They can like it anyway because they're a fan. So it's all good to me, regardless. Like I try not to gatekeep too much, but I do when
Yeah.
I feel it's necessary. Like when
Yeah.
I heard a 13-year-old girl tell me that Master of Puppets from Stranger Things, Metallica was a new band and it's gonna be their biggest hit ever, and I was like, oh,
Oh, Jesus
oh
Christ.
god.
They
But
should
yeah,
be.
other than
Yeah.
that,
Was it? Yeah. I don't even want to. It's so ridiculous. Sometimes, some of those times, yeah. Like the gatekeeping. Like my thing is like I want to keep. Doing like encouraging young people to like get into things like that and to really like kind of reserve, especially like when it comes to the horror and stuff. Like get into it, have fun, go back and check things out. Like I think it's so important, especially the cult classic stuff like that. That kind of gets over. We
I
talk
always
about
tell them, yeah, I always tell them to check out The Thing minimum, like John Carpenter's The Thing, because it still
yeah.
holds the test of time to this day, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. But I think that one's so overdone in a way that like so now it's gotten to a point where that's just a great movie.
Yeah, yeah. Same
It's
thing
not.
with Killer Clowns. Like Killer Clowns, that was always my favorite movie ever since I was a little kid. And now it's resurging. They made a game, and I don't know if you've heard, but they're rebooting the movie. Like I think Disney owns the rights now, or whoever bought Miramax,
Oh,
Universal maybe. But they're
oh,
instead of making a sequel, the Chiodos are executive producing, and they're gonna reboot the movie and try to make that a series. But
oh.
that's what they're behind it, so I have faith that it'll be
Yeah.
done well, but we'll see.
We'll see what happens. But my friends, I wanted to say thank you so much. It's that time. We're gonna start winding down the show. I want to say thank you so much for coming on. But let's talk about you. Let's talk about what you're doing. Let's do
Me?
shout outs and stuff like that. What you got going on, my friend?
All right. Well, so the primary thing I'm doing now, which maybe you'll find interesting, I'm not sure. I had this idea literally 12 years ago. I think I told you 12 years ago. As most of the people here watching or listening know what Twitch is, it's the streaming platform twitch.tv, mostly video games. That's how it started. When Mick and I were working on Mario Likes Movies, I had just started going into my filmmaking venture in my life. And I said, hey, what would be cool? Because back then, Indiegogo and Kickstarter were huge for genre films. Like, oh, that was a big trope for a long time. People stealing money from Indiegogo and whatnot. But
Mm-hmm.
I said, wouldn't it be cool if you could stream writing a horror movie and have the chat give them options, limited options, and have them write the process with you, so that and then you Kickstarter or Indiegogo the movie and you get it made, and then you could say, hey, if it sucks, it's everybody else's fault, not mine. So I'm doing something called the Horror Project. I'm streaming screenwriting on Twitch every Monday and Thursday. I took 2 weeks off because the screenwriting websites, Celtex, had issues and I couldn't open my actual save, so I just took 2 weeks off. But every Monday and Thursday at like 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I stream the screenwriting process and I give chat options to pick characters, scenes, deaths, all kinds of stuff. And I'm going to write 80 pages of a 100-page script. And then I'm going to leave the last 20 pages to myself. And then once I get enough of a following, or not really a following, but enough interest, I'm going to kickstart, not Indiegogo, I'm going to kickstart the movie, see if I could get it made, hire everybody to do the movie, and then put it out. And yeah. And I'll say that if all that comes to fruition, like the kickstarting and stuff, I'm going to be fully transparent. everybody working on the film is going to get paid from the Kickstarter, including myself. I'm only going to take a writing credit salary, so anything that goes over the budget still just goes right back into the movie. I'm not keeping a single cent. Any other independent producers are not keeping any other single cents other than the money they've put in. So every cent is going into the movie, like literally every cent. So
That's awesome, man.
I wanted to like say that because that's a big part of it for me. I want to just I want to make this film. It's actually going to get made regardless because I have my own personal money set aside in case that part of it doesn't work out. But I'm writing a film on Twitch. It's called Level 001 or just Level 1. It's based on internet trope, The Backrooms. Not all of it, but it's loosely based on it. And I'm doing that at twitch.tv/part9jason. It's one word. It's PART, the number 9, and then Jason, JASON. And that's what I'm doing right now. But I'm getting back into filmmaking, and that's the first thing I'm doing is I'm going to make this film. Full-length feature, no more short films. I'm actually going for it this time around. As I mentioned before, if you're late to the broadcast, I was blind for 2 years, and I realized how short life is, on top of the fact that a really good friend of Mick's and a friend of mine passed, and that actually really affected me a lot. So that's going to be for him too, believe it or not, when it's all said and done.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big reason that I decided to get back on the horse and start doing this. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I mean, I always have my fingers in sinister soups all over the place, but that's the primary thing I'm doing right now is I'm streaming on Part9 Jason, which is my I wear a mask and stuff, but streaming on there, and hopefully I can get this movie made by the end of next year or the year after.
I love it. I love that, man. That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Get it done, dude. And you know what? Next time you are at New Jersey HorrorCon, say hi to Ryan for me.
Well, I'm going to try to make it there this week, but if not, I'll say hi next time when he's at the showboat.
He won't remember me, but say hi anyway.
No, he'll probably barely remember me, so it's fine. He's got kids now, so he's busy with.
It happens, but good on him. I have never been to a New Jersey HorrorCon. That is not for lack of trying. It's just 2020 has just been crazy, and get back up to New Jersey to do it is tough. I want to say to him, congratulations. Her is doing amazing, and to be able to move into a bigger venue, good on you, man. Congratulations. It's fantastic.
I'll give him this where he may lack in certain areas that we know him for. He's real good at putting conventions together.
Oh, I believe it.
Always a bang up job. I went to the first one, and it was at the smallest rinky dink place you can imagine. Still well put together. I went to one at the Showboat, well put together, well organized, no problems from what I saw. So, like I said, he's doing a pretty bang up job with that kind of stuff.
Well, if you talk to him, I'd love to have him on the show, talk about the convention. So,
oh yeah, he would probably do that, to be honest. So I'll pass the word down.
But I want to thank you, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Sign up again, man. I'd love to have you back on and talk some more. So,
oh yeah, anytime. My schedule's strange now. I'm free whenever. So,
okay,
just
cool.
let me know. I can discuss cult classics or I don't know, whatever else it is you want it to be. But one last thing I do want to say, I feel like we mentioned, cult classics are just going the way of physical media for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, if anybody watching is interested in that kind of stuff, Vinegar Syndrome is a really good physical media. Shout Factory / Scream Factory, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Bureau at Unearthed Films, if you like really gory, crazy horror movies. So yeah, I always recommend all that stuff if you're looking for hard to find, rare stuff.
Shot on Video Horror, SOV Horror is pretty good for it too.
Yeah.
They're pretty
video violence and stuff.
Yeah. All right, my friend. Thank you again for joining in. We're going to get going. We're going to finish up on our last few segments, but thanks again. And yeah, everybody go check out Mario. Make sure to follow him on Twitch. And I will talk to you soon, my friend. Take care.
All right. See you later, buddy.
Bye, bud. All right, guys. So, that was Mario. Go check him out. Follow him on Twitch. Awesome dude. Have a lot of fun talking to him. Help me get started in this. MarioLinksMovies.com was so much fun to work on. I really wish he'd bring it back. because it was such a good time. And he has a lot of good, really fun stuff that I still don't see being done today, honestly. Like, I see versions of it, but I see, you know, like when Mario and Dave were doing it, it was like different. And it had a lot of heart to it, had a lot of fun, and it just wasn't the same. It just wasn't the same. So it was very cool. It was very cool to go down memory lane with them. And so make sure to go check them out. And down in the links below is Mario's Twitch stream. So go check it out. All right, everybody. So let's check it out. Snobs Movie Summer School, which will be changing in the upcoming month to Snobs Film History. That's right. We're going to be moving into Snobs Film History. If you guys don't know, this is where we talk about different aspects of the film industry. We're going to be getting more into the history side of it. We are doing a video series on our Patreon. This is a sort of a sister series to it on the podcast, where we are teaching filmmaking. And we're going to be teaching different aspects of filmmaking. That's going to be coming up very soon. Go check it out. We have everything spelled out there. We have a link down below in the description so you can see it all. But let's get started, shall we? We're going to be talking about the studio system, just a brief history of the studio system, what it was, what it did, and where it kind of came from. You know, so I wrote out a script. I hope you guys like it. You know, but I will tell you, we are doing up before we get started here, we are doing a little bit of a different format with the Snobs film history and Snobs Movie Summer School, both being the same, of course, and of course the Did I Fix movies. We are going to be putting those out as clips still, which you can see going on the YouTube channel, but they are edited clips now. They are pre-recorded, edited. They're going to have a little more flash to them. They're going to have some scenes in them, things like that, really get involved. On the show, we're going to be more rudimentary about it. We're going to just be me talking to you because it is a podcast. But hopefully you guys are enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, so here we go. All right, everybody. So it's the 1920s. Everyone's out there in their flapper dresses doing their thing. And Hollywood was all about that glitz and glamour. And a whole lot of business. That's what it was all about. So when it really came down to it, it was about making money. Now in this era in Hollywood, the studio system was born. It was like a mega corporation of fun. These giant studios were known as the Big Five: Paramount, MGM, Warner Brothers, Fox, and RKO. Then you had the Little Three, which was Universal, Columbia, and United Artists, which was probably known as the most independent of all of them because it was the actors who sort of put it together, which still stands today, by the way. And it was run by Tom Cruise up until not too long ago. They pretty much had everything, the whole shebang, like under control. And I say shebang, I mean that by saying they had an iron grip over film production, distribution, and exhibition. Now, if you don't know what exhibition is, that is basically everything they do. That's the marketing side of it. We call it marketing now, but that was called exhibition back in the day because there was a big push always. There still is, of course. We see it all the time, but it's the premieres. It's what's going on in the movie theaters, like all the different clubs and like the premieres at the separate movie theaters where you get gifts and things like that. Like, it's very different from how it was back in the day. Back in the day, it was almost like a spectacle. So it's very different comparatively. But it was, if we considered it like a recipe, it's like they had the oven and the baking and the bakery and the recipe and all told into one. They owned everything. It was true vertical integration from beginning to end. And that's what the studio system was. And it was causing major headaches and problems for a lot of people. So imagine a world where every actor, director, writer, and even gaffer, yes, gaffer, I love my gaffers, was tied down by contracts to one studio. You could be an MGM, you could be a Paramount, you could be a Fox, you could be anywhere, but never the two shall meet, unless the big bosses said it was okay. Picture signing up for a 7-year stint at MGM, where you couldn't work anywhere else. It was just there, and you had to work on it. As many movies as they told you, as many projects as they throw at you, and then some. That doesn't count all the personal appearances and things like that you had to do. You just had to do it. That was your contract. It was almost like high school, but more glitz, glamour, and no option to change your elective. So if you're wondering, like why your grandma or your grandpa's favorite actor appeared in 27 films in 1 year, there's your answer. The studio system was like a factory. That's what it came down to. It was all about a factory to make money. It was the ultimate dream machine. People were always wanting to make it big, make it the next big star, the next big thing. They were churning out one big hit after another. Yet, just like the police procedurals on every channel, it was also too formulaic. There were similar plots, the good old predictable happy endings. Every studio had the same thing. They all looked, felt, sounded similar. Everybody was trying to just copy to make that money. But the studio system wasn't all sunshine and roses. My fellow snobs, it was a heavily criticized for its control over, its talents and its independent theaters. Independent theaters had such a stranglehold on them. It was amazing they could get anything done. Imagine being stuck as the damsel in distress or the town drunk when really you want to be playing the femme fatale or the town hero. And it will never happen because that's who you are. You piss the wrong person off. You never know. And this is just you just trying to do your job. Or being a theater owner forced to book a bundle of movies, which was called block booking, by the way, even if some of them were as boring as watching paint dry. Didn't matter. You didn't know what you were getting. You were going to have to show it, though, because that's what the studios wanted. And like so all good things for the studios, depending on who you ask, not so good things, the studio system had to end. It took an antitrust case. It finally burst that bubble in the late 1940s. It was the United States versus Paramount Pictures, also known as the Hollywood Antitrust Case Act of 1948. It marked a significant turning point in the history of American cinema. The United States Supreme Court targeted the monopolistic practices of Hollywood's major studios, specifically Paramount Pictures in this case. But the decision impacted majors like MGM, Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, RKO. The case addressed issues of vertical integration where studios controlled all aspects of the film's life cycle, from film production to post-production to distribution, exhibition in theaters that they owned. Wasn't okay. The court ruled against these practices, stating it was a violation of their antitrust laws. The decision led to the separation of production and exhibition, ending the era of the studio system. Opening the door for independent theaters, filmmakers, and eventually giving rise to the new Hollywood, the period in the 60s and the 70s and beyond, that we would see a lot of new, faces, famous directors, famous actors, filmmakers, all in of the independent scene, stepping up and stepping in, making things that were just unheard of at the time, and really ushering in a new world order of how we make movies and changing up how the studios make movies. It was a huge thing. So the studio system was a blessing in a lot of ways for how people made money, for unions to finally open up, as we see today. And I'm addressing this because it is timely in a lot of ways. The studio system hurt a lot of people and put a lot of control in certain small group of people's hands. So when it ended, it really helped us bring about a new Hollywood. This wasn't, just something they came up with that gave us daring, innovative type of filmmaking for a long time. A lot of those favorite movies that you watch over and over and over again land within the cause that they were made, because the studio system was gone. Because they were allowed to make that. Midnight Cowboy could not be made under the studio system. Jaws, Star Wars, Goodfellas, The Godfather, none of these movies will ever be made under the studio system. It just wouldn't work. It had to be like a factory back then because that's what was making the money. Everybody doing the same thing, and it would have never ended. It just would have imploded. Thankfully, the antitrust case law took it out. But as we go along, it is what it is. So next time you sit down and watch an old classic movie, remember the titan industry that once was. And be glad you're not signed up for a 7-year contract. unless for a giant, the Scene Snob is not above that. McManhattan will play a giant and sign a 7-year contract to do it in a 10-picture deal. Let's do it. Let's sign it up. But thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. If you're checking out the clip at a later time, come, appreciate you doing that as well. But thank you guys so much. And this has been a lot of fun to be able to do the Snobs Movie Summer School. And we're going to have 1 or 2 left. We're going to finish out August with it. But, then we're going to kind of push into Snobs film history. So if there's anything you guys want to learn about film history, please let me know. I'll be happy to put together a video for you and make it a part of the podcast. So, but let's get into our final of the night. This was given us to our Snobnation member, Paul. I want to say thank you, Paul. Cloud Atlas. I want to say thank you, first of all, very sarcastically with a sarcastic tone. Thanks, Paul, for making me watch Cloud Atlas. No, I did finally get to sit down and watch Cloud Atlas. Well, not finally. I've watched it before, but, and this is this week's Did I Fix? Again, we're changing things up a little bit when it comes to the podcast and how things work. So we're going to have clips going on, and a lot of them are going to have voiceover narration. They're going to have things like that. So go check those out. They will be up on the YouTube. I'd love for you to check them out. Let me know what you think. Some things are going to be said differently, like with the studio system of a clip. Some things will be said differently here. But I'm going to play a piece for you, and you're listening to that, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to do my fix for the movie. Here we go. Remember 2012, the year everyone thought the world would end? Well, it didn't. But we did get something mind-boggling. Something as complex as the knitting pattern on your grandma's blankets. Fellow movie snobs, let's talk about Cloud Atlas. A film adaptation of David Mitchell's novel, Cloud Atlas takes the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon game to a whole new level. It's a celestial soup of 6 interwoven stories spanning over 5 centuries. It's definitely an ambitious story with a lot of layers to it. It's a love letter to the reincarnation theory in HD. It features actors playing multiple roles across different eras, races, and even genders. So one moment you're seeing Tom Hanks as a murderous doctor in the 19th century, and then bam, he's a futuristic goat herder. There is something oddly satisfying seeing Tom Hanks having an identity crisis on a cosmic scale, though. The creators of the spectacle budgeted at over $100 million. The Wachowski siblings and Tom Tykwer described making this movie as a Herculean task. And no, they weren't just trying to sound smart. They even had to direct in tandem, with one shooting one part of the story while the other team was filming the other. That's a huge experiment in filmmaking that didn't seem to really pan out overall. Much of the film was financed by independent sources, making it one of the most expensive independent films of all time, an epic achievement in its own right. Cloud Atlas was a major box office disappointment, but its complex narrative, stunning visuals, and bold yet convoluted storytelling has gained it a bit of a cult following. It's proof that just like one weird uncle at family reunions, not everyone's appreciated in their time. So buckle up, snobs. We're about to dive headfirst into the cosmic jigsaw, exploring the themes of love, karma, and the university of human nature. And let's see if we can fix a movie with Hugh Grant as a cannibalistic tribal leader. That's something you don't see every day. That's it. So hopefully you guys like that. That was a pre-recorded bit that I threw up there. If you're listening at a later time, thank you guys. So my fix for Cloud Atlas is actually kind of simple. It's a beautiful movie, visually stunning. The Wachowskis make amazing looking movies. They truly are just wonderfully well done when it comes to the filmmaking side of it. So their stories are pretty good. Usually there can be kind of problems, like Speed Racer was not a great told story. Matrix, the second 2, this story was convoluted and kind of went all over the place. That first one was the best one in my opinion. Jupiter Ascending, another one. So there are examples, but like Sense8 was another great one. And that's one that I'm going to kind of be comparing this to. My fix for Cloud Atlas would be, you have 6 really good stories here. Really well told, really well acted, really well everything stories. So why not tell 6 good movies? You could just as easily take any one of these and tell a very good story based on any one of these movies. Now, that's one fix that may or may not work for people. They may not like that, because I think the problem with this is when you have this like sort of intertwined, interwoven anthology type piece, there's a soul that goes to it. There's an overarching like theme that really works and really drives it. And it just like all the good ones that really just like hit you have that. This doesn't. It feels hollow. It feels like it's telling these stories, it has good storytelling, but it's missing that thing. It's missing that thing. Like when you're just watching other non-linear pieces, like, you know, we talked about a few things like Pulp Fiction, or another one like Crash, which is interwoven stories and stuff like that of different people. They really hit the nail on the head, but this is one that falls on the side of like, just didn't do it right. Just didn't edit it right, or whatever it was, or just the story didn't flow properly. And the reason is, I think, you never really truly get to care about your characters. You're moving on abruptly without not really even knowing. You don't really truly care about the characters once you get into it. So, and then you're on to the next one, and then you're trying to care about them, trying to catch up, and then you're on to the next one, and so on and so forth. And then you're back to this and back to that. So it's all over the place. It jumps around too much. Now, can you interweave them? Yes. I just think it was too much. This is too convoluted of a story, too many themes, too many actors, too many things. That I'm not saying that on that scale it can't be done, but they didn't do it right here. So you can make six stories and just tell your own stories. You can pair them up. I think they would pair really well with each other. I think if you paired 2 and 2 and 2, that would be another fix for these. You know, I think it would be really cool to see the 1849 piece paired up with the Sunmi, I think it was 2144 piece, where she's the clone who is enslaved as the waiter and a sex slave, you know, to match up with having the slaves on that island and like how they lived and sort of inspired rebellion. You know, I think those two stories playing off of each other, interwoven, like to see the future and to see the past and how things still are kind of come around, would be really cool. And then, of course, you have the gay composer whose lover grows up and gets caught up in this conspiracy after losing him. And like, maybe you can, that would need a few tweaks, but like if you tweaked it to the point where like his obsession became his job because he lost the love of his life, lived out a life, he lived a life as a straight man, you know, because the 40s, 50s, 60s were unforgiving. And then he gets into the 70s and like he entrusts this, he finds this conspiracy and trusts it. You have a tale that can completely turn it on itself and be crazy. A love story that turns into a conspiracy tale, that'd be amazing. And they could do it. I think they could do that really well if you piece those together and did some tweaks. Or then you could take the other two stories. You take the story about the man who gets caught in the, you know, and forgive me, I don't remember all the characters' names at the moment because there's so many characters, but, you know, he gets caught in the insane asylum, you know, and he's got to escape eventually. And then you have the Far Off, where Tom Cruise is the goat herder, and they're trying to escape their conditions and what they're doing. But you can pair these two up and have a great tale of escape. And I think it'd be really well done how you do it, and wonderfully done at that. I think that you could do that really well. Or personally, if you really want to fix this, you make it a mini series. You can still interweave them. You make each episode based on the one story, you know, however long you want to do it, and like an MTV 6-episode deal. And you really just tell the stories, and then you interweave them in the sense that they're going to connect with each other. They're throughout time. They're telling. And I think that you would just hit the nail on the head. This could work. This could be like a Sense8. You're giving enough time for us to care about our characters. Every actor can still play the characters that they played, because they do. They bend genres. They bend races. They bend genders. They bend so many things in this by using actors to play all different types of different characters. It's really interesting. But they just missed. They really just missed with this movie, and they missed the mark hard. And it sucks to see. But that would be my fix for it. And I would love to hear what you guys think. Did I fix it? Did I not fix it? Sound off and let me know. But thank you guys so much for joining the podcast today. My apologies for the microphone issues with Mario. We'll get that figured out when he comes back on the show next time. But we did have a good time. We had a fun time talking. And thank you guys again so much for being a part of it. I'm Mick Manhattan from the Scene Snobs. Here, check out this message from our sponsor. It's an affiliate link down below. It's Entertainment. What's up, movie snobs? Are you ready to take your love of pop culture to the next level? Look no further than Entertainment Earth, your one-stop destination for all things entertainment. From rare collectibles to the latest must-have items, they've got it all. Whether you are a fan of superheroes or a sci-fi lover or a classic movie enthusiast, Entertainment Earth has the perfect treasure waiting for you. But it gets better. By clicking the affiliate link down in the description below, you'll get an exclusive discount just for you being our amazing viewer, and we thank you guys. Get 10% off if you click on the link below, and if you spend $79 or more, you get another 10% off and free shipping. Check it out. Take advantage of this because it is truly awesome. Guys, it is awesome. I do buy a lot of my stuff off there, so if you want, go check it out. The affiliate link, get 10% off. It explained everything to you, so I don't need to, but also, we do have new shirts, we do new designs and everything available. So if you guys are interested, go check out snobsmerch.com. It's a lot of fun. We got some really cool stuff. We just put up our Barbie line, which is Knuff is Enough, or Can You Feel the Love Tonight? That's right. Go check them out. We got some cool designs and tons of other stuff too. Movie themed, the whole 9 yards. Snobsmerch.com. Thanks for checking it out. All right, I'm Mick Manhattan. Thank you guys. Make sure to hit like on this video. Make sure to hit subscribe and that notification bell, because if you hit that, you will know when all our awesome videos are coming out. And we have tons of great stuff. And check out our Patreon because we have other great videos over there as well. Thank you guys. I truly appreciate you. I love when you join in. It is amazing to me. You guys are all awesome. I appreciate you, Snob Nation. And anybody who's just coming in, we appreciate you. Join the Snob Nation. We'd love to have you. Stay kind, stay groovy, and take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And I'll talk to you guys very, very soon. Take care. I said take care a lot. I feel like it's lost all its meaning. All right, take care.